When you think about those truly foundational ideas, the ones that really shift how people view success, happiness, even free will, you often land right here with this incredibly simple but powerful quote. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
That sentence, yeah. It's basically the entire engine behind James Allen's 1903 essay, As a Man Thinketh. It's amazing, really, how this tiny book, it's almost just a pamphlet, became such a cornerstone for modern self-development.
It really did.
And what's striking is how it weaves together philosophy, sort of moral guidance, and practical psychology. This is written way before positive psychology was even a thing.
Exactly. And it's not just abstract theory, is it? It feels like a manual, a guide for mental self-mastery, as he puts it. So our mission here in this deep dive is really to pull out that core framework from Allen's work.
Give you the structure, the key lessons, nice and quick.
Yeah, so you can really grasp them. And the main idea, it's breathtakingly simple, but honestly revolutionary if you actually commit to it. Basically, the quality of your thoughts, how consistent they are, that directly links to the quality of your life.
Everything. Your character, your situation, even, as you said, your physical health. Allen really got that true change, true mastery. It has to start inside. And he uses this brilliant metaphor to explain it.
Right, the famous one. The mind as a garden, which isn't just some pretty language. It's like the core operating principle for the whole essay.
It really is. And what's key is the emphasis on agency, on your role. He's clear. The mind isn't just wild, it's something you cultivate. If you consciously plant good seeds, noble thoughts, positive plans, constructive ideas,
then the garden flourishes. You see beauty, peace, success in your life.
But then there's the flip side, and this is the part that can sting a bit. If you neglect that garden, or worse, you let negative stuff take root. Worry, anger, self-pity.
Those become the weeds of failure, misery, self-sabotage. It takes over.
Allen's argument is almost mathematical. He says a person is the sum of their thoughts. Consistently think noble thoughts, you develop a noble character, let the negative stuff dominate.
Then it eventually pollutes your character. It's like an inescapable formula he's laying out.
Which leads straight to his really strong stance on free will. He kind of dismisses the whole idea of being just a victim of fate or circumstance. If your life's a mess, it's not bad luck.
It's because you haven't tended the garden. You haven't taken responsibility for what you're planting in your own mind. You are the gardener.
Exactly. You're the sole cultivator. It really forces you, the reader or the listener, to face that you're constantly choosing which thoughts to nurture, which seeds get watered, and which weeds you let grow.
That internal work, that's where the real change starts.
Absolutely. And that internal work has direct, tangible results. Which brings us nicely to what Allen calls the 3 major effects of thought.
Okay, let's dive into those. Starting with maybe the trickiest one, the effect on our circumstances. Allen actually suggests our external conditions. Prosperity, poverty, happiness, suffering. They all come from our internal mental habits.
Yeah, this is where his philosophy can feel pretty demanding, sometimes even uncomfortable. He's basically saying your life situation is a mirror, a direct reflection of your inner mental world.
So if someone's constantly thinking thoughts of lack or victimhood or worry,
their external reality will eventually start to match that internal state. It becomes a kind of feedback loop.
Okay, but hold on, that can sound really harsh. What about people facing genuine systemic hardship or just plain bad luck? Is Allen saying poverty or discrimination is purely down to someone's thinking? That feels like a stretch.
That's a really important question, and yeah, it needs careful handling. We'll circle back to the nuance later. But Allen's core point here isn't about, say, temporary setbacks. He's talking about persistent, deep-seated life conditions. He uses this example of someone who always blames others but secretly holds on to jealousy or resentment. Those internal states, Allen says, keep them trapped. Positive thinking, by contrast, doesn't just wait for things to get better externally.
It creates the internal conditions needed to see and act on opportunities when they arise. The inner structure shapes the outer result.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from external control to internal response. Now, moving from that outward effect to the inward one, Allen talks about the effect of thought on health and the body. And this is fascinating, given he wrote it in 1903.
Way before the mind-body connection was common knowledge. He basically lays out a psychosomatic link, right? The body follows the mind.
He says it very plainly. The body reflects your dominant thoughts. He specifically calls out things like chronic stress, anger, persistent worry, calls them toxins that damage physical health.
Which modern science totally backs up now with cortisol and immune response and all that.
Right. Alan was onto this a century ago. He saw fear, anxiety, negativity as physically corrosive.
So his prescription is essentially mental hygiene.
Precisely. Cultivating calmness, joy, serenity. He sees these as powerful healing agents. They strengthen you physically. A peaceful mind, he argues, is literally the best foundation for lasting health. It's about regulating your inner state for physical benefit.
Okay, so thought impacts our circumstances, our external world, and our physical bodies. What's the third major effect?
The third is thought and purpose. This is about direction. Because, you can have positive thoughts, but if they're just scattered all over the place...
They don't achieve much, just mental noise.
Exactly. Alan says without a clear, defined purpose, a goal, people just drift mentally. They burn a lot of energy, but it's unfocused, unproductive, like spinning your wheels.
You see that all the time. Scattered effort leads nowhere solid.
Right. But purpose, when it's guided by constructive, sustained thinking, it channels all that mental energy. It turns it into focused, powerful action. It's the difference between flailing around in a boat and fixing your eyes on the shore and rowing steadily towards it.
Purpose gives the mental garden a clear direction for growth.
Perfectly put. And that sustained, focused effort is what leads to the next stage Alan discusses. The path to achievement and serenity. He's very clear here. Achievement isn't luck.
It's not just being in the right place at the right time.
No, he sees luck as just the visible tip of the iceberg. Achievement is the direct outcome of sustained right thinking, self-discipline, and very importantly, self-control. We tend to focus on the outer success, but Alan forces us to look at the inner mental foundation that made it possible.
But it's not just about material success, is it? He pushes beyond that, towards visions and ideals. He talks about dreamers shaping the world.
Yes, he really values high ideals. He sees them as the fuel that lifts people beyond their current limits. A vision gives your disciplined thinking meaning and power. Without some noble ideal, a clear picture of who you want to be or what you want to create your thoughts just gets stuck on small, short-term stuff.
So the vision directs the sustained thought towards something greater. It shapes your destiny.
Exactly. And then the absolute peak, the ultimate goal of all this mental self-mastery, according to Alan, it isn't wealth or fame, it's serenity.
Calmness of mind.
Perfect calmness, yeah. That's the crown jewel for him. It's not about suppressing emotion, but mastering your response. A serene mind faces crises without panic. It sees challenges not as threats, but as chances to grow.
It sounds like emotional intelligence and resilience rolled into one.
That's a great way to put it. It's the state where wisdom can actually flourish, and where true success, the success of character, becomes almost inevitable.
It's really quite something that this little essay had such a huge lasting impact. It laid down these psychological ideas so early on.
Oh, absolutely. Its place in history is well earned. People often compare it to Marcus Aurelius's Meditations because of that intense focus on inner discipline, and that's a fair comparison.
Right, that makes sense.
But crucially, it became like foundational text for so many 20th century self-help giants. Think Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, or Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. Alan's work is arguably the root of that whole modern mindset movement.
Okay, but that legacy, it brings us right back to that critical point we touched on earlier, the criticism. People argue Alan just oversimplifies everything. What about real-world systemic problems? Grinding poverty, unexpected illness, is all suffering really just a result of wrong thinking?
And that is the challenge for modern readers, absolutely. It's a valid critique. If you take Alan too literally, it can feel like he's ignoring objective hardships, and that could lead someone to just blame themselves unfairly.
So how do we square Alan's ideas with the complexities we know exist? Where's the nuance? How do we avoid it becoming just, overly simplistic positive thinking?
I think the key is shifting the focus. It's not necessarily about controlling the event itself, but about controlling your response to the event. Alan isn't denying that things like poverty, illness, or injustice exist or cause real pain.
Okay.
His argument, as I read it, is more about if you adopt a mindset of victimhood on top of the hardship, you've essentially doubled your own burden.
Right. So you might not control losing your job unexpectedly, but you can control whether you respond with complete despair or with disciplined action to find the next thing.
Precisely. His point is about our mental attitude towards whatever life throws at us. Does it crush us, or do we use it somehow as fuel for growth? It's about taking maximum responsibility for your internal world, especially when the external world feels out of control. That's the ultimate mental self-mastery he's advocating.
So to wrap this up, the core message from this incredible little book is guard your thoughts like you guard your health. Master your mind and you gain mastery over your life. It's a real challenge, isn't it, to fully step into that creator role?
It is, and it's a simple message, but it's resonated for over a century because fundamentally there's a deep truth there.
Yeah.
What you consistently focus on, what you think, you tend to become.
So thinking about this for yourself right now, if our deepest, most persistent thoughts really do shape our destiny, maybe the challenge is to look honestly at your own mental garden. Not just the pretty flowers, but really look for the weeds. What limiting beliefs, what kind of background negativity, maybe thoughts that feel comfortable, familiar even, might you be holding on to? Could any of those ideas be secretly mirroring or even sustaining the very circumstances you want to change? That honest self-reflection, just looking at the state of your mental garden, that's the crucial first step towards the kind of self-discipline Alan talks about.
And towards planting the seeds for a very different harvest.